Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to October's IT Spotlight, where we'll hear from the IT Director at the City of Venice in Florida. I'm Madeline Thomas, a member of the marketing team here at Granicus, and today I have the absolute pleasure of being your moderator. So thanks for joining me. As everyone on the line knows, running government is difficult, especially remotely and then during a pandemic. Today, we're going to hear from Dr. Christophe St. Luce, and he's going to open up with us about the challenges Venice was facing amid COVID-19 and the secure cloud-based technology solutions they were able to implement to ease their workloads and help empower a transparent and agile digital government. But before we get started, we have a few housekeeping items we need to go over. We'd like this session to be as interactive as possible, so you can talk to each other on Twitter using the hashtag Granicus IT Spotlight. We also encourage you to ask us questions today. So look for the questions box on your console, and we'll be sure to address them toward the end of today's session. We hope you don't have any technical difficulties, but if you do, look for the help button on the top of your webinar console, and we'll get your problems worked out. And we are recording this session, and we'll email you a link to the on-demand version later this week. So please be sure to share it with a colleague or view it again later. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get to know today's speaker. Dr. Christophe St. Luce is the Director of Information Technology at the City of Venice in Florida. Before joining Venice in 2018, he worked for the IT department in Hollywood, Florida, where he was responsible for a budget of $2 million for purchasing and maintaining technology equipment, software, and services. He totals 25 plus years of IT experience. He holds a Bachelor's of Public Administration degree from Florida International University, a Master's of Business Administration in Information Technology Management from Western Governors University, and has earned a Doctor of Information Technology degree from Capella University. Originally, he's from Kingston, Jamaica. He moved to Florida with his family when he was 2 years old. He was raised just outside of Miami and has 2 stepdaughters and a lovely wife. Christophe, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me, Madeline.
Awesome. Well, so let's get this going with our Q&A. So our first question today is, can you tell us a little bit about City of Venice, the population, location, etc.?
Sure. Well, the City of Venice is on Florida's southwest Gulf Coast, and it's located about 20 minutes south of the city of Sarasota, or an hour north of the Fort Myers area. It's roughly 16 square miles of tourist-friendly people with a population of approximately 24,000 residents. Our workforce of 350 also welcomes 5,000 seasonal residents, and prior to COVID-19 impacting the world, we hosted 200 events annually.
Oh, wow. How many people work in your IT department at Venice?
So we are a total of 6 full-time staff, and when needed for special projects, we have a contractor available. At this size, well, one has to wear many different hats, so we try and hold as many roles as possible.
So what did it look like when COVID first hit Venice and your community was forced to go remote?
Well, I can thankfully report that it was not a tremendous shift for our staff, and the learning curve was relatively small. While not a standard practice, we already had the technical capability for staff to work remotely, and it was utilized for keeping in touch while people were away for conferences. Very few changes were required on our firewall for COVID-related working from home. Our fleet of workstations is already laptops, so we already have the mobility angle covered. We fully implemented Microsoft Teams, installed our VPN client onto more workstations, and I created login cheat sheets for our users. Some other technical wizardry had to be created to assist with our customer service phone systems, but we were able to do that pretty quickly.
What challenges did you face in your role and then more broadly across the IT department?
Well, I spent years functioning as a disaster recovery coordinator for the IT department in my previous role. Whenever the EOC was activated, I reported to it during the first shift and remained throughout the entire activation. So I approached COVID-19 in a similar fashion, assessing what we had, what we needed, and where we needed to be. Between May of 2018 and January 2019, we replaced file servers, our antivirus malware system, our copiers, We enabled scan to email and replaced our server backup system. And since we already had the VPN in place with plenty of licenses and large enough bandwidth pipe, I was confident that we could transition staff to working remotely. The one thing we couldn't control in this scenario was, however, the internet access at home for our coworkers. And that presents a huge hurdle for some. Connection instabilities caused the VPN to drop randomly for some people. People didn't have enough bandwidth, so we had some issues with that. But other than trying to keep ourselves on budget, thankfully we didn't have too much of a stretch to change.
So you guys made the transition from to go pretty much to the cloud at the end of 2019, which helped set everything up for 2020?
Right. We used a lot of services in cloud. We changed our backup system, so we have a copy of that in cloud. Of course, we're a heavy Microsoft Office environment as well, so we had a lot of cloud connectivity and backup already at the City of Venice.
So what, in coordination with the clerk's office, were there any unique challenges to other departments? And obviously, can you talk about, with the clerk's office, what it was like to transition public meetings to a virtual environment?
So I would say the biggest challenge did exist with the clerk's office, as they are responsible for hosting our council and advisory board meetings. The clerk's office works with every department to generate and distribute the agendas, provide notification for meetings, coordinate the board members, and maintain a record of all the meetings. Our community has a median resident age of 68, and that can present, and that can present many challenges for those who are not technology savvy. Our residents, visitors, and business owners were very accustomed to coming into City Hall to participate in council and advisory board meetings. Then all of a sudden, they had to start using a virtual environment, and it was a huge shock. The city clerk and I held dozens of one-on-one practice sessions with members of council and each board so they could be more familiar with the virtual meeting platforms.
Did your council members meet in person and just social distance for these meetings, or were they participating from home?
So everything was done from home. With the recent changes that Governor DeSantis has allowed, we have some people meeting in person now. We're now can have a quorum physically present. So, for example, for our council, we'll have maybe 4 members present and the rest attending remotely.
And was your clerk operating from her house as well, or was she still going into the office to move, or into City Hall to continue on with the meetings?
For the meetings, she was always present at City Hall, usually in her office. I think she worked remotely a couple of times. The one day I decided to work remotely, the entire network went down. So I just figured I'll just stay in the office and not worry about it.
Did your department lead or participate in the search for virtual meeting solutions when you guys initially rolled those out?
Yes, we did lead, and we did have several options. The City of Venice already had an account with WebEx, but it was only used for conducting remote interviews. Also, the service tier for WebEx was at a much lower level, so it didn't provide a good quality recording that would have been required. I've since changed that, and we recently began using Microsoft Teams throughout the entire organization. It was used strictly in one department, and then because of COVID, we ramped it up and enabled everybody to use it. With that, Microsoft has been constantly upgrading Teams, but at the time that it needed it, it wasn't at the level that we needed for our meetings. It didn't have all the functionality there. Enter Zoom. Zoom was easy to procure. We could start using it shortly after purchasing the licenses. I would have used WebEx, but again, it required more rigorous setup process for the technical team, and I needed something I can stand up and start using right away.
And so what did it look like when you and your clerk were working on finding agenda management solutions. Were you involved in that process, or did she come running to you for the okay?
Well, we already had Legistar here, and I was familiar with it because we had it at Hollywood. So we had many of the same systems that we had at City of Hollywood we have here at Venice. So every department uses Legistar. We're not using all the functionality in it. For example, the workflow and approval process. We haven't gotten there yet, but hopefully one day we will.
So before, when you and I met, you shared with me that a lot of the departments that you've noticed at Venice collab closely with the IT department. What does the process look like for other departments to find new solutions in locking in the IT department's approval that these solutions are secure enough and they meet your standards? What does that look like?
Right. So previously, departments just kind of went out and got their own systems and bought what they wanted, and you kind of had to just make it work. And I've experienced that before in my past. But now we're under a more collaborative umbrella. So I meet with the other department heads. I let them know, hey, here's the things that I'm working on that might affect you or might affect your users. What things do you have on your roadmap that might affect mine, either my budget or the resources that I need to acquire to help you? So we have a very open communication, and I keep a board where I know what projects are coming up. So we have construction projects from our fire department, construction projects from our utilities department, 1, 2, 3 years out. So we know how to plan, and we know what to coordinate. Also, by doing this, we're able to maybe offer suggestions for resources and solutions that we currently have that maybe the other departments don't know about or that are underutilized. Our police department is using a policy management system, and rather than buying something else for the other departments, I just acquired more licenses and we're going to roll that out to everybody else. So we're sharing the resources and just reutilizing what we currently have.
So what are the priorities for your department when people want to roll out like new software? What's most important to you all?
Most importantly, I would say simplicity, because we are a small shop. Everybody already has a lot to do in their daily tasks, and we don't want to overcomplicate new processes with even more tasks that people have to do. So I try and keep things as easy as possible. For example, on our meeting days, I run through a set of checks, checking the audio, checking the video, making sure the encoder's up and running, just to minimize as many problems as possible. Technology does find a way, and it will stop when it wants to. But with the recent events that we've had and the technology changes, our city clerk was contacted by many other agencies throughout the state through our city clerks group asking, how did we accomplish what we did? And how did we do it in such a short period of time?
That's awesome. So when you guys originally were purchasing Granicus solutions, what were the differentiators that stood out most to Venice? And I guess also when you were at Hollywood.
Okay, yeah, so the Granicus suite has really expanded. There's many options to add to a user's toolkit. So you now have Gov meetings, you have Gov delivery, and Gov access. So you have many platforms you can utilize for your public and your staff. Our website's through Granicus, but we use Legistar. We have the Granicus encoder to stream our meetings, and we've recently enabled Send Agenda so that the staff in the clerk's office can use that to quickly notify the subscribers when an agenda has been published. Previously, the agenda would be mailed out, and then there's a change made to it, so a new PDF is sent out, but now with Send Agenda, the subscribers have a direct link to the current agenda, regardless of what a change is made. And next year, we're planning on our refresh of our website for planning to refresh next year, which will occur in 2022.
Just like you said, the simplicity of having everything, and with all those Granicus solutions, they all talk to each other and, create once and publish everywhere, which is cool.
Yes.
If another town in similar size to Venice or Hollywood was exploring Granicus for virtual meeting solutions or a new website or a new communication solution, etc., what would you say to them? What would you share with them? Kind of what advice would you have for them?
So I would say review your current processes, whether they're manual or automatic, so you can take an inventory of what you're currently doing, what you need to do, and what the delta is, or what you can change that you don't need to do anymore. Granicus can help. There's a lot of, I have a lot of contacts in my address book of Granicus staff, different account managers, customer service advisors. Take advantage of their offerings through the Granicus suite. Our council and board members are well accustomed to using iLegislate, which is the iPad app, to review their agendas. So we give that to, again, council members, board members. If you're an agency thinking about acquiring Granicus services like Legistar, develop a routine to have the staff and meeting attendees view the Insight page. And the Insight page is your organization's calendar for all your past and future meetings. And it has links where you can view and download all your meeting videos. So if you get them accustomed to looking at that, I have board members that call me and they go to that site thinking they can get to their email. They say, no, this is just for your account. I'm glad you're going there. It's for your calendars, but I direct them to where they really need to be. I think key is make sure each department, each agency works with their IT departments because it's a collaborative function. So you want to make sure resources aren't wasted and that you're functioning on a common direction for your agency. And then lastly, Granicus does offer a lot of webinars on their products and how agencies of various sizes are utilizing those products in order to get things done.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. It looks like we have a couple more minutes, and we have had a couple questions come in from our attendees on the line. So if it's okay with you, we'll run through a couple of these.
Sure.
So what was your biggest struggle with working from home, or was it a complete ease, or was it simple, I guess?
I personally did not have a struggle. Again, I just needed to help train our users. We had a lot of folks who they could not, for a while, couldn't get into the rhythm of connecting to their internet, launching their, logging into their VPN, and then accessing their services. They're used to turning on their laptops, logging in, and being able to print, access drives, etc. So that took a bit of time just to get people to accustom. Make sure your connection's on, make sure your VPN's connected, and then you're good.
Do you have any tips for other departments that are trying to get IT on board to purchase and implement new solutions?
So I find what would help is if you have, if you survey your other agencies. I'm part of the Florida Information Systems group. So as an IT agency, we talk to other departments and we find out what they're doing, what has worked and what hasn't worked. So the Florida has a city clerks group as well. I imagine there's other groups for different positions, and you can ask your peers, hey, we have this particular issue. How did you resolve this? And if you can come with possible ideas, possible solutions, it can help, especially in the smaller agencies that may only have a few people on staff. They're already working on their servers and email and backup, and it can be a bit to try and research task as well. But if you can just provide a couple of other options for them to provide light research, then it'll probably go a long way.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today. So a few quick reminders before we sign off. We will email you a link to the on-demand version of this training, so please stay tuned. As always, our goal with these sessions is to empower modern digital government, and we really appreciate and value the work that everyone on the line does every single day. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us. And then stay tuned for a Granicus representative to reach out in the coming week to see if you'd like to learn more about how Granicus can help empower your organization. Thank you so much again, Dr. Christophe. That was amazing. And thank you to everyone on the line.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.